People want to get paid and people want to be represented. That's a big thing that's happening in Hollywood these days, but it's also happening on Broadway because the PAs right now are asking to be unionized. That's right. They're asking to join Equity. Now, right now, Equity, of course, represents 51,000 people. We're talking about actors and stage managers are involved. So they're thinking that production assistants could join too. Now, Equity already said they'd welcome in there, but now it comes down to the league. Now, if the league lets them come in, then they can move forward. But they almost said that if the league says no, they could still say, and we're just going to vote and try to join anyways and go past you guys. So we're going to see how this develops, but it's a big thing. The Broadway League right now, they're the trade organization representing theater owners and producers, in case you don't really know that. And so they have to approve it. But then if they do a low key deal with Equity and just join, then those have to pay them. They might be able to work it out, unionize, and production assistants always get the shit end of the stick all the time, whether it be theater or on sets. They do the worst hours. I mean, yes, but I'm saying it happens a lot of times. It's as a pecking order thing. It's like you start there, you work your way up, and maybe eventually become an AD or a director eventually. It's a way to get on set for a lot of people. And sometimes the hours are hard and the money isn't as good sometimes too. And you're working from the very start to the very end. And these people, everybody, but being in theater too, it's happening there too. And apparently they might be unionized, which would be a huge thing for them, if you ask me. Now, the league says they look forward to further discussions on this, but they're not really saying exactly what's going to happen. Equity actually stepped forward. The Aaron Maureen Coster, who is the third vice president of Actors Equity, said, "We are thrilled to support in the effort of Broadway production assistants to complete the unionization of Broadway stages management terms." So they're hoping they can do it. They're excited about it. And it comes down to the league. So what do we think about this? Do production assistants, should they be joining a union? I'm going to go with Seth here first, because I know Seth has worked that world too before. What do you think about this? Is this an exciting thing for production assistants, and should it happen across the board for production assistants, regardless if it's stage or on a big budget movie?
I think that as long as the pay is there, this is a fantastic idea. Because look, I mean, that's how we met, is working I was a production assistant on American Horror Story. And I've done it for the last 3 years on and off as much as I can. I mean, the whole thing, and you're talking about it, like it comes down to pay and hours. Like that's really the two big things. Like for instance, I just worked a music video last week that I did set construction. We built the set and had to tear it down. It was an 18-hour day, and I made less than $400 after taxes. That is insane.
Yeah, brutal.
My body hurt for 2 days. Like it was ridiculous. I could go back to waiting tables where I was making $500 a night if that's really what I wanted to do. You know what I mean? So it's this whole thing where it's like, oh, we can be a part of this. To basically, they're basically making it out to seem like it's just bragging rights. Oh, you're a part of it for bragging rights, and that's it. Anyways, sport. Yeah, I think this is a great thing. Again, as long as they're doing it right. Equity, I don't know if you guys know, but it's had a couple of its own problems in the past. So I don't know if this is – I hope that this is something that they legitimately take seriously and really take care of their people, because it's about fucking time.
Yeah, it sounds like a great thing, but you're like, right. It all comes down to the logistics of it too. There's a lot of logistics, pay, hours, like what it actually says in their verbiage too. Hopefully there's some verbiage for PAs that they can actually have like set hours maybe, or maybe there's better overtime too. Like that comes down to the pay. So hopefully they take care of them better, because these jobs get rough. Like he's saying, like 18-hour days happens, just normal. And then you're barely getting paid for it. So it's just ridiculous. So Brandon, what do you think?
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. What do you got?
I was just really short. I was going to say, like, you remember even on American Horror Story, when we started, it was during COVID, so we had French hours. And
French hours.
They're like, you have to have these long days. It's the only way to make it work. But we did French hours, which for anybody that doesn't know is 10-hour days, so that you have a longer turnaround. They're a lot quicker days, and those were tolerable days. Nobody was pissed off. But then when we came back from hiatus and it was 18-hour days again, everybody was just angry and miserable. It does not breed creation. It breeds anger and resentment.
Yeah, it becomes like just a machine at that point, as opposed to an art form.
Well,
and
if
people
you're not
get
a PA,
frustrated.
it's actually amazing. I would love to work 18-hour days, because after 12 hours or 16 hours, I'm sorry, then I make my rate every hour for every hour that goes by. So I'll take an 18-hour day every fucking day of my life.
It's still tough though, too, on your family, your life, your sleep. There's a lot of stuff. The money can be good, but all of that's tough. But Sabrina, what do you think about this? The production assistants
don't have those protections.
What do you think about this? So Sabrina, the production assistants, they want to get into this union and we get into equity. Do you think that's a good deal for them in New York or what?
I mean, I'm super excited for anyone going union and getting what they want. Like, I didn't know. I thought equity was only for actors. So like, I'm
stage managers too.
Well, they're also talking about bringing in strippers.
Strippers?
Look at that.
This is a real thing. They're talking about making strippers a part of equity. AEA.
No, there are strippers that are part of equity in Los Angeles already.
I thought
they joined.
Oh, they did join. Oh, it went through.
They did. Well, I mean, I don't know about all of them, but there is one particular bar. We got emails from SAG that were like, come to the, come to the strip club or whatever, and like it was the first place that turned equity. I love that you put Hamilton behind that. Yeah, so that actually did happen, which is kind of. I remember reading it, and I was like, what is this? And if I wasn't bartending that night, because I side hustle all day every day, I would have absolutely have gone. I would have been like, I just want to see what it's about. So yeah, that is actually a thing. I actually saw it here a couple months ago. SAG sent out an email during the strike, like to come support.
Ryan loves long days.
Of course, Ryan likes long days. When you're unionized and you
make some good money.
Guaranteed something, then you're making a ton of money. Like since I've been working on set, which is a very long time, probably 20 years, I've made Golden Time, I think 4 times, and those paychecks are unparalleled. Honestly, like you could do a whole week of pay, in comparison to that one day, similar figure. So yeah, I don't know. I'm going to go quick. I'm sorry, Kristen, I'm going to come back to you. I just want to go quickly back to the Jim Parsons thing about Big Bang Theory. My job is the comments. I'm sorry.
Thanks, K-Pro.
Change topics. But so yes, it wasn't the whole cast. Jim Parsons didn't want to renew, and so then they ended it. He felt that time was enough, but everyone else wanted to do another season. He just thought that it had run its course. I'm sorry. And for those who don't know who Jim Parsons is, he played Sheldon on Big Bang Theory. So yes, 100% correct on that. Thank you for bringing that up. And Chris, did someone say strippers? I wish I would have thought that before I segued.
Did someone say strippers? Paulalandixon, what do you think about the production assistants unionizing? Do you think it'll snowball into LA and then PAs in Los Angeles to try to unionize too? Or do you think this will be something that'll only happen in New York for theater?
I absolutely agree that it will snowball, and this, there's a trend, obviously, of these working class people and getting paid very little, trying to unionize, and I think that's wonderful. I think they're being taken advantage of way too much. And before I continue anything or that thought, when I heard strippers and unionization, for some reason I thought they were hiring strippers to be PAs. So that was just a funny thought. I was like, wow, they're really desperate. But yeah, I think it's great. I think everyone should unionize, especially if they feel like they're not getting enough money. And I think for a long time, Hollywood was churning out films to fight unionization. If you look back at films like On the Waterfront and for a long time, they were just like, unions are bad and they're evil and they're trying to take advantage of you. And it was just this false narrative they were pushing. And I think the times they are changing.
Yeah. And I mean, notoriously, to kind of piggyback off that a little bit, notoriously, Hollywood and the producers of Hollywood and the big studios have tried very hard to make it so that people didn't get what they needed. Or one of the biggest things that they used to do to union bust, and this is no joke, is the reason that we have these award shows like the Oscars, they created them to pit actors against each other. That's literally why they were created, so they'd stop talking, because they started noticing that they were talking to each other. They were,
what are you getting?
They were making more money at MGM than they were at, I don't know another studio that was around back then that was famous. But my point being is they literally created the Oscars to pin them against each other and keep them from co-conspiring.
Because actors used to be on loan though at that time. Like it was like a studio owned you.
Yeah.
Like so you were like property of whatever
you live in too.
Yeah. And like Yep,
Yeah.
100%.
There was a long time where I remember Paramount, they actually had, which are offices now at Paramount Studios before they were apartments. And you would back in the day, they would actually just put they'd hire the actors to a contract.
Same thing with ABC.
5 days a week, you'd go to different shows. They'd hop you over to this one. You go to this stage, you work over there. It used to be a whole business and you'd live there and work there. Now is your job.
Also, what's the CBS Radford? Same thing.
Yeah.
They all the small studios like along the line on the street parallel to Ventura, one street down, 100%. All people that were on loan used to live in those studios. Same thing with ABC. They have that whole street that they used to not Riverside. I can't remember the name of it. But like one street parallel over from ABC. All the apartments were owned by them, like specifically for that reason as well.
It's crazy, but that's
commute time though.
There was what?
I said I bet that really cut down on commute time though.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine? You're on the shower and run to the soundstage. Let's do this. A lot
easier.
Yep. Chris Rock and Will Smith are definitely pitted against each other. That's for sure. That definitely went down. Oh man, the slap heard around the world. It's just the whole thing is just
slap heard around the world. Very good, Brian.
that was a different time. Right now, it's not that long ago, but that was a different time for actors back then, where you were just like hired for the whole thing. And that's what it was, and it was a great time, but a bad time because people didn't have lives. But then again, if you're a young actor in Hollywood, that was probably amazing because it's just like you're working on how many productions a week? It's right there. You're under contract. It's amazing.
I would love that.
Yeah,
like, sure, I have to do 5 movies for $5 million. Fantastic. Sign me the fuck up.